Hi, everybody. We will go ahead and get started with our 2021 Players Champion, Justin Thomas, here at the Media Center. Justin, just opening thoughts on being back at TPC Sawgrass, of course, you're comfortable with, and where you've obviously had success in the past.
Yeah, I always love being here. It's a special week. It's it's our championship. It's our tournament, and the course is always in immaculate condition. Especially being in March, it's very, very green, and the outlines of the fairways and the rough, it all looks perfect. So it's a place I look forward to coming every year. It's a golf course I think is extremely well designed, and I always enjoy playing it.
And I guess to that point, I mean, why do you think this design and this layout seems to stand out as just a really solid test on tour just compared to other?
Yeah, I think it's just unique. I think you stand up on a hole, call it like number one, and it doesn't really look like anything special or anything crazy, but it's a tee shot that very clearly not requires, but asks for a left to right ball flight off the tee, and then the green asks for a right to left ball flight into the green. So, and there's a lot of holes like that. Number two is the same way. It's asking for a draw off the tee, and then the green is set up for a fade into the green, and it just really requires a lot of different kinds of shots and a lot of creativity. Something that I think is a strength of mine.
Perfect. All right. With that, we will go ahead and open up for questions. Just raise your hand. We will get a microphone over to you. Start over here, Gene.
Justin, I spoke with Rickie yesterday, and he was talking about how you and Jordan have sort of, been sounding boards for him as he was going through his really rough stretch, and now he seems to be making his way back. Could you just share what, at least in generalities, what you were able to kind of tell him or to help him along to get through this rough patch?
It's not as much as you'd probably think, and it's really just, he's one of my best friends. It has nothing to do with, it's Rickie Fowler. That's, he is who he is, and I'm doing it for the sake, obviously I want him to play better, but I just want to be there as a friend. And I think it's sometimes the the man in you doesn't want to necessarily ask your friends for help. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a cool thing to do, but I've been there. I've talked to different friends, whether it's about specific golf stuff or thought process, whatever it is. And my thing to Rick is I'm just like, dude, if you ever need anything or want anything, I'm here as much as you want or as little as you want. And, he would ask some things from time to time, but it was more just helping them and whenever I could, because this is it can be a lonely game sometime, even with your family, wife, girlfriend, whatever, out on the road with you. It's still lonely when you're out there between your ears. So we're all very glad to see he's playing well.
As a follow-up to that, what is it about, how much would it sort of, you think, lift the golf, lift PGA Tour to see Rickie Fowler back in the winner's circle?
It'd be great. It's clearly trending that way. He's playing some really good golf, really solid, consistent golf. And, I can just tell from playing practice rounds with him or playing with him at home, he's just, he's a different person. He's got a lot more swagger, a lot more confidence. His expectations are different. And it's funny just what a couple tournaments or, maybe one particular shot here or week here and there will do. And I think he's definitely in that group of people that it's good for the game of golf when he's playing well.
If I may ask one more thing, why does Rickie resonate in such a different way with fans than your standard elite golfer out there?
He gives more than anybody, I would say. He's more relatable. He gives more time, whether it's signing or having fan experiences. He's always been very active on social media, or definitely more so, pre-family, I would say. But he basically has given more effort into it, I would say. And because of that, that's a reason why he's, I think, one of the most loved out here.
Right here.
Hey, Justin, do you have a favorite hole out here or one you feel especially comfortable with? And on the other side, a hole that you find very challenging?
18's really hard. Today it's in and off the left. It doesn't get much more uncomfortable than that tee shot when it's like that. And then when you got it in off the left in May, it was firm enough where you could kind of, burn something out there and maybe hit an iron in, but it's hard to hit less than driver and have less than a 5-iron in when it's soft like this. But there's a lot of great holes out here. I really like 13. I think it's a very sneaky, cool little par 3. The wind can kind of swirl back in that little tunnel almost where the tee is, but if you hit a good tee shot, if you get it kind of in the right section of where the pin is, you can have a really good look at birdie, but you can also make 4 or 5 in a heartbeat there. So I think that's, especially in the place it is in the course, is a pretty pivotal hole.
Okay, just go to Kathy and then right behind you, Kathy.
Justin, your father has obviously been very influential in teaching you how to play golf. And from that experience, do you feel like you have extra knowledge to help somebody else with their golf game?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm a terrible coach. Like, I'm not. I'm very good at like the basics of playing with amateurs and seeing they slap across it, and I can just kind of give them something to help with that. But I'm when it gets to this level of players, I'm not very good at coaching. I'm not technical, but I'm also not a coach, so I'm not supposed to be. But the way that things just kind of resonate or work in my head are very feel-oriented and very specific to me. So things that I may be feeling or seeing or thinking might not resonate with another person on tour or another quality player. So to answer your question, no, I don't think so.
So Rickie just asked you because you're friends.
What's that?
Rickie just asked you for some advice because you're friends.
I'd say, yeah, it wasn't necessarily any like technical thoughts. It's just being there for a friend, and yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just being there to talk to or being there to vent to or whatever, whatever it may be.
Yep. Walk right in.
Hi, I'm Malti from Bloomberg News. I'm just wondering about the LIV and PGA Golf antitrust fight, and wondering what it really means for the fate of PGA players. I know you talked about challenges here in terms of the wind conditions, all of that stuff. But is it something that PGA players are thinking of in the back of their mind in terms of this antitrust fight playing out in the background while all these golf games are going on?
No, I'm not really wasting my time thinking about that.
But in terms of what that fight means for the fate of players, because it will impact, the PGA's. We've seen what's happened with, say, for instance, in baseball or basketball, where courts have sometimes changed the course of the way a certain sports business works. So, yeah, in that sense, do you pay attention to it and some of the legal issues? Because it just seems like it could impact the fate of players and the future of the players.
I definitely don't doubt that it's a huge impact and it's very important, but I'm not near smart enough to get involved in any of that, and that's not my job to get paid to do something like that. I'm just trying to play golf the best I can, and let the legal system go from there.
Got it. Thank you.
Just go right over here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. Can you please explain of both dates, March and May, which one of the dates are more favored for your type of golf? Is there any key difference between playing the course, let's say March with receding or May, and which one favors more your type of golf? Thank you.
To be perfectly honest, I like the course significantly more in May than I do in March. I won in March, so I like it a lot in March as well. I mean, I never dislike it. I always enjoy a firmer and faster course, and I think that this course becomes a lot more challenging, especially off the tee. Missing the fairway it's totally different. It was Bermuda in May, and it's overseed this time of year. So it's literally two different kinds of golf courses. We're going to get some mud balls. The ball, if you get the correct wind, you can hold 4 or 5 irons on greens. And then in May, you'd have times where you have 7, 8, 9 irons, and it's really tough to hold the green. So you have to, I would say you have a lot more options off the tee in May because of how firm it plays off the tee. It's a lot of just drivers and 3-woods now, and just hitting the fairway and staying out of the long rough kind of thing.
Just Let's go to Sean right here on the way right here, Justin.
You're leading the tour in strokes gained around the green. It can be a little bit of a fluky stat, but do you feel like you've seen any improvement with your short game, or is it maybe just making some putts from the fringe that count there?
I've definitely seen some improvement in my short game. I mean, it's so early in the season. I feel like all the stats are kind of skewed. You know what I mean? It's you have one bad something or one bad tournament, call it, and then you could get put way behind. Whereas a couple weeks and it goes the same thing with chipping or putting or whatever it is. If you have a huge week, it can totally springboard you to where you're at. But I do also feel like chipping is a strength of my game, and I have been working on it hard, just more of like the basic chips that I've struggled with. So it's been, I would say, a work in progress, and seeing some improvement in it, and making putts from the fringe helps too.
Yeah, Doug?
I'm trying to think how to ask this, but this has always been such a known as the strongest and deepest field of the year, etc. Just in recent memory, how do you distinguish between which is harder to win between this week and last week? And as we go forward, the more you guys get together in these big elevated events, big time courses, Riv, Bay Hill, whatever, does it lose kind of its separation?
It's a good question. I don't think it does. I think, because one could argue that the Masters is still, I think, harder to win this tournament. It's harder to win the Masters than it is this tournament, but this field is stronger than the Masters. But it's because of the Masters, and it's because of the history it has, because of what comes with it. There's everything else that adds to it that makes it more difficult. And I do think that this tournament is harder to win than last week because of the way that the courses are set up. I think it's difficult to play well and make a lot of birdies on a place like last week versus here. But that being said, you can also kind of par it to death and sprinkle in a couple birdies. I talked to Scotty Scheffler about it yesterday. I was like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I had no idea that you had a chance to win that golf tournament. Like, I played with him the first 2 days. He was playing well, but I just remembered, obviously he was looking at the leaderboards, and I never really saw his name, and then all of a sudden we're on 17 green, and I look over and I was like, Scotty's one back or tied for the lead. Like, where the hell did he even come from? And that's the kind of thing that can happen at a place like last week. I have no idea if this is answering any of your questions, but no, I don't think it's going to lose its, what did you say just about this tournament?
Separation.
It's separation. I do not think that this tournament will lose that separation.
Can I ask another one, Michael?
Yeah.
It's probably gone by now, but if you think back to some of the bigger events you've won, whether it's, say, Memphis or Medina or what have you, what was the level of pressure you felt here compared with there? And you'd already won a major when you won here, so we're not going to count that.
It's just different. I'm a little, I don't want to say shaky, kind of like jittery. It's just, you have the butterflies. It's they're kind of hard to keep your hand stable. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes you get that on a random shot, the first shot of the tournament, or at a Ryder Cup, or on the weekend of a big tournament. But it's just, to me, the nerves that I had playing the last couple holes here versus the last couple holes in, call it another tournament that I've won is different. You have more nerves in it, and it means more at this because it's a bigger tournament. But at the same time, that's why you play, and you want to be in those positions. So it's a good thing to feel, I guess.
We're going to go to Ann and then Baba.
Hi, Justin. Can you talk about the new competitive model, your thoughts about it, and what the PGA Tour has done in the past year to make the players happier?
Yeah, I guess players is kind of a relative term. I think we definitely know one person that's not too thrilled about it, but it's tough. It's an extremely tough thing, I think, to kind of dive into. And I know Max kind of did that, whether it was last week or a couple weeks ago, is there's not going to be any model that makes everybody happy. That's just a stone cold fact. But at the end of the day, when every single one of us signed up to play golf, you knew that the better you played, the better tournaments you're going to be into, and the worse you played, you may not even have a job anymore, or you may be on a developmental tour or whatever it may be. And none of that is changing. And I just think it's a mindset kind of thing of maybe some people that are upset about it is, okay, do I want to look at that table or look at that tournament and say that's not fair, I don't get to play in that? Or do I want to say I want to be a part of that table, or I want to be a part of that tournament? And that's how all of us were raised to think about golf, is we want to play and practice and get to a point where we're playing in these majors and now playing in these elevated events against the best players in the world as often as possible. And we're now have developed a model where that's happening. And I mean, I don't see how it wouldn't be better for everybody, the fans, the sponsors, the communities, the charities that are around there. I mean, the players, it's going to bring better out of us. I just don't see how it's not better, and it's going to push all of us, and then it's going to create more opportunities for guys to be a part of that, and also kind of keep us competitive to want to stay in those events.